It's fair to say that you've stopped the firms, the big bookmaking firms, getting away with murder, not paying the levy on their offshore horse racing profits. Are the exchanges in your sights?
Well, I think it's there's two things about the exchanges. One is to make sure that the regulation that we have in horse racing, that we have a good communication with them to prevent some of the integrity issues that we talked about earlier. But the key thing for me is that you know the law has, if you like, determined very clearly how Betfair should make payments in terms of tax. Betfair and the other exchanges should make payments in terms of taxation and levy, and it's based on a share of the profits that they make. I don't think we're seeking a change to that. It would deliver an unsustainable business model. I think it's interesting that a number of the exchanges are effectively going back into sportsbook models, and that they're working their business back into sportsbooks. So a customer like me that might only have generated a little bit of commission on the commission on losses. You know, I'm someone who loses money betting on football. Then why would you want to share that with a third-party punter when you can have the profit for yourself? So you're starting to see those firms moving their business into fixed odds betting, and that ends up meaning that they end up paying levy at the same rate as the other bookmakers. So we're not particularly out to change the model for exchanges.
Going on to the actually attendance at the racecourses, obviously a lot of courses do put a lot of effort in to get different sorts of people in, you know, music nights, family fun days, etc. Does the BHA have any particular different plans to try and attract a more diverse crowd to horse racing?
We set up a diversity in racing group last August, July or August, after a report from Women in Racing was published, which they commissioned through Oxford Brookes University, looking at diversity in the sport. And our sport has a long way to go, like many others. Although we have a good record in some things, for example, 40% of tickets purchased in advance for race meetings are purchased by women, compared with 20% is the highest in any other major sport in this country. We clearly have an issue with non-white faces at racecourses and throughout our sport, competing in our sport. And I think what the group, which is drawn from across our sport and outside our sport, and looking at gender, ethnic background, disability, etc., we are looking to put out a plan in April with a clear plan, which is trying to ensure that we can bring role models through and encourage people to come through in our sport. And we've agreed that we will call out bad behaviour wherever we see it, but there's no place for that. I think there's been some interesting stories that we've been fostering over the last few weeks about the Liverpool MBA student who, as part of her work, introduced a paper looking at the capability of female riders versus male riders, and basically saying that if you filter out the quality and capability of the horse being ridden and you adjust for that, then women ride as well as men. A fascinating study with 14 years of data, and we've started to talk about that a lot, and there's been a lot of discussion about female riders over the last few months. You know, could they win the big races more frequently? Could they even win the championship? I personally think that it is possible that we may have a female rider win the Flat Jockeys Championship in the next 5 years, if Josephine Gordon or one of the others coming through. So it's great that we're talking about those things where our sport hadn't before, and I think the role of the diversity group is to create those discussion points and to put in place some practical measures to help break down barriers.
Okay, thank you. Now everybody has responsibilities. Some own a business responsible for many people, but you lead an entire industry in sport. How do you cope with the pressure of making decisions that you know will affect people both positively and negatively right across the game?
Well, I lead the BHA, and we play a part leadership role in the sport together with others. As I say, I'm privileged to have this role. Look, I have a great passion for the sport and its people. I love going to training yards. I love seeing the horses in training at the racecourse, seeing the way the whole industry works, and particularly how our people look after the horses and make this sport work. Making decisions in that context is an easy thing to do, because hopefully I'm trying to, with colleagues, make decisions for the right reasons. Can never please everyone all the time with regard to that, but you've just got to make the best decision in line with a strategy, and as long as you're open and you can explain your decision, not everyone will like it, but you know, as long as people can respect that you made it for the right reasons.
Now, you've been a senior figure at some of the world's biggest bookmakers. You now run the BHA. Have you got anything else you want to achieve within the industry?
Well, I mean, I love this job, and there's so much still to be done. You know, I've made mistakes since I've been here. We have made progress on a few things together, but there is so much more to achieve. I really want to stay here and continue to help British racing hopefully improve and grow. And you know, I'm excited right now about the resolution to the levy, because every year, either with my old hat on in betting or with my newish hat on in racing, every year we would be fighting about the levy, how much it was going to deliver into the central funding of racing. That is now solved for the next 7 years, and I've been really encouraged to start having conversations with bookmakers where we can work together to grow betting on the sport. So right now, although we've got other priorities that I mentioned, that is really exciting me, because I think we are growing betting on racing in this country again after a long-term decline and against the trend in other countries, and I want to see if we can do even better over the next few years.